What's up, everyone? It's Finance CJ. Thanks for joining me for another Finance Friday. This is episode 7, and to start, I'd like to apologize for how things look. I'm in a little bit of a strange situation, and I had to make some adjustments on the fly, so I apologize if any of the quality is underperforming my previous videos, and hopefully I can get it adjusted soon. And before we start, I'd just like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe down below. And if you want to know when my videos are posted, hit that little notification bell. And if you're admiring my shirt today, you can thank my producer, Mr. TJ DeRosa. He got me it for Christmas to support the channel and to make me look better for all of you. So give him a shout out in the comments down below and give the video a like just for that. But now we're here to talk about my predictions for the upcoming year of 2021. I recapped my 2020 in my last video, so if you didn't get a chance to check it out right here or down below. Here we go. But before we begin, I just want to remind you that I am not a licensed professional. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion on what's going to happen in the upcoming year. 2020 was a lot of things, and one of the major hypes that began in 2020 was the EV stock hype. Now, if you don't know what EV is, EV stands for electric vehicles. You may think of Tesla, very good example of this. And EV stocks went crazy in 2020. We saw major jumps of 100% within a day for some stocks. I believe that EV stocks will face a major market correction in 2021. Now, what does this mean? This means that stocks are going to have to fall back down to reality in the sense of their valuations. Stocks that have no sales can't be trading for 50 times their sales. It just can't continue on. The reason I want to talk about EV stocks is because people are thinking that EV is here when it is not. There are still 1 billion gas cars on the road, and it's projected that gas cars will be ahead of electric vehicles in terms of amount of cars on the road until 2040, and that's just when it evens out. Even then, we will still see gas cars on the road. I do believe in the long-term effects of EV vehicles and clean energy, as I will talk about later on with clean energy. EV vehicles will be a major thing of the future. I just don't believe we're there quite yet, and that's why I think that 2021 will see a major correction on these stocks, mainly because there are still a ton of cars that require gas, and that's why I think the gas and oil stocks will have a decent recovery in 2021. Now, President-elect Joe Biden said that he does not want to see any new fracking, but he did not specify whether he will ban fracking, which I do not believe he will. I do believe that we will see gas prices increase under President Biden, but that will be a good thing for the gas and oil stock, and that will make the recovery that much better for these stocks. It's a business that if you're in it for a shorter long term, such as 5 to 10 to 15 years, gas and oil, I think, will be a solid investment for you. And if you're in the electric vehicle space for 20 years plus, if you're like me and you're just getting started investing, it's a very good long-term investment. My second prediction for 2021 is one that many people I don't see talking about. And this is that the airlines will not recover to the highs that they had pre-pandemic. The reason I say this is with companies working remotely and having to do more things using technology such as Zoom, companies are learning that they can do business meetings over Zoom rather than flying someone out to another state and spending capital to put someone in a state to meet with someone. All this can be done over the computer and save the company a ton of money. Now, the reason this is a big deal for the airlines is that for airlines, business travel make up 60 to 70% of revenue. Now, if even only half of business travel comes back, that means that the airlines are still losing 30 to 35% of their revenue. and that is why I do not believe that the airline stocks will recover as strongly as other sectors like leisure travel. I think we will see a short-term boost in the airline sector just because I think people have pent-up travel demand, such as people who missed out on vacations throughout 2020. But I don't think they can produce the kind of revenue that businesses were bringing in on a regular basis and consistently pull those numbers out of leisure travel from pent-up demand. Now for my third prediction, and probably the craziest to justify, I'm going to say that big banks make a huge comeback in 2021. The reason I say that is because at the start of the pandemic, the Fed had strict requirements on banks to have a certain amount of money in cash reserves in case of defaults on mortgages. Over the weekend, President Trump signed a bill that gave renters and homeowners some relief in the form of $25 billion worth of aid. Now, some believe that the price tag of total relief for homeowners is more in the ballpark of $70 billion, but the $25 billion does help some people stay out of foreclosures on their home. For banks with less people foreclosing on their homes, it means they're going to be able to release those cash reserves back onto their balance sheet. This will signify some growth for the bank, and it will create more free cash flow for the bank. This means their dividends can increase and they can buy back stock, both good things for shareholders. The Federal Reserve runs stress tests on the banks to make sure that they have set aside enough money to cover a majority of the mortgages that they have under their bank. Every time the Federal Reserve ran a stress test, they were able to show that banks passed the stress test and it helped shore up the economy. Now, with more relief on the way and with President-elect Biden coming in, we will see more relief towards homeowners and renters, in my opinion. Now, again, these are just my predictions for 2021. I could be totally wrong, and I'm only 23 years old, and remember, this is not financial advice. This is just my own opinion about what I see coming in the future. And it's something that I haven't heard talked about because I think people don't realize how much cash is sitting on the sidelines for banks in these cash reserves to protect from things like mortgage foreclosures. My fourth prediction for 2021 is that we will see infrastructure and clean energy come more into the forefront, and we will see major growth within these industries. One of the reasons why I think that is because President-elect Biden has talked about how we need to build back better. Another reason we're going to be talking about infrastructure is it is very common during poor economic times to make more public works opportunities, such as building roads, fixing bridges, anything like that. This allows more jobs to be created, it allows more money to be put into the economy, and it also is a way that we can use our tax dollars that are already within city budgets to create more jobs for people, especially when we have a high unemployment rate sitting about 6.7% as of the time filming this video. We also saw this tactic used during the Obama administration when Obama was dealing with the Great Recession coming out of that 2008 economic collapse. He made sure to create many infrastructure jobs and construction jobs, such as working on roads and fixing bridges. Things like this help lay a foundation for an economic recovery because, again, we are putting more people to work and we are also getting them paid at a decent, livable wage so that they can then spend the money in the economy and it circulate throughout the economy. This means that they get paid and they go buy groceries, and then the grocery store goes and buys other supplies, and it just keeps circulating throughout the economy. The next thing I'd like to talk about is climate change. President-elect Biden has talked about climate change numerous times during his campaign run. He has called President Trump out for not believing in climate change and saying that climate change is a hoax, but he's going to make sure that he focuses on clean energy. A couple things about clean energy: now it's not just solar power, there are other things that create clean energy, such as wind farms and hydroelectric energy. These things harness powers from wind, dams, rivers, water, any form of running water to create electricity, and of course solar panel utilizes the power of the sun. Now, the biggest thing with renewable energy is creating a way to store the power that is generated so that we don't have rolling blackouts. As we see in California, this happens quite frequently. They need to create a better storage system to make it more mainstream so that we can use it on a full-scale basis throughout the entire country. Stocks in this sector had major growth throughout 2020, and I believe they will continue to see major growth in 2021. Some stocks to keep on your radar: Vestas, Renewable Energy Group, and NextEra Energy. Vestas makes wind turbines for windmills to create wind farm energy. Renewable Energy Group deals with hydroelectric as well as solar, and NextEra Energy is one of the largest solar companies in the United States. Another company to keep an eye on is the Brookfield Group. They have several stocks, including Brookfield Property and Brookfield Asset Management, but the ones we're going to focus on here are Brookfield Energy Projects and Brookfield Infrastructure Projects. These both are renewable energy and infrastructure that develop roads, bridges, everything we talked about, and they could be stocks that could see major liftoff with all these things that President-elect Biden is talking about for his term as president. My fifth and final topic is just some stocks that I have in my portfolio that I think are going to be major winners, if not at least 20% winners in the year to follow. Stocks like EPR, Longview Acquisition Company, and Nanox. Now, I talked about Nanox in my last video about recapping 2020. If you didn't see it, you should check it out in the link right here or down below. You can also hear about how I paid off a ton of debt. But let's start talking about some of these stocks. EPR Properties is a specialty real estate investment trust. Now, if you don't know what that is, I made a video talking about REITs as well. You can check out that. But EPR is the largest tenant holder of AMC. And as we know, movie theaters took a beating in 2020 with all the lockdowns in place. But I believe that the movie industry will make a major comeback because I think people still want to go to the movies. I know I'm dying to see the Marvel movies. I truly believe that movie theaters aren't done yet, and not everything is going to streaming yet. Longview Acquisition Company is a SPAC. I normally don't invest in SPACs because I think they're a little too risky for my liking, but this one grabbed my attention, and the growth in the medical field tends to interest me. Longview Acquisition Company is doing a reverse merger with a company called the Butterfly Network. The Butterfly Network has FDA approval to make sonograms that are smaller and even that can be used in a home environment. Now, I believe with telehealth gaining some ground in 2020, that a at-home sonogram for someone who has conditions that they need to regularly get a sonogram to look at could be a major winner next year. And like I said, they already have the FDA approval. They're not as speculative as the normal thing like Nanox. Nanox has not gained FDA approval. However, the reason I put Nanox on this list is because I believe they will gain FDA approval in either Q1 or Q2 of 2021. Once that happens, I believe that stock will jump from where it is now to 20 or 30% higher. But to circle back to Butterfly Network, the at-home sonograms, many people just think sonograms are for people who are pregnant. This is not the case. It can be used to determine many different ailments throughout the body. And once they find a way to make it easier so people can use it with the assistance of maybe someone coaching them through it through Zoom on a telehealth, it could be a major thing for people who are at risk and can't get out of their house. Again, these are just stocks that I own in my own portfolio. And again, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. To wrap it up, I want to know what you guys think is going to happen in 2021 in the stock market. Are we going to see a major correction from where we are now? Are we going to see a major bull market when Joe Biden takes office? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And I'm sorry for the setup, but this is what had to happen this week, and hopefully we can see each other again soon. And remember, I post my videos weekly, so check back on Fridays at 5 p.m. and you'll see me. Have a good night, guys.